After a very slow December, sitting in a buyer's market that most felt was going to get worse or at least hang out for a little while, we have seen our market shift back into a balanced market after only 4 weeks. And in some cities, they have swung back so far the other direction that they are now sitting in a seller's market. The Arizona real estate market can be quite volatile, and we've seen that in the second half of 2022. It started with a drastic rise in inventory, which led sellers to reduce their list prices. And for many that had been through 2008, they thought we were headed in that direction yet again. But just as fast as it started, it then began to slow and start heading in the other direction. Now, please understand, I am not by any means saying that we are headed back into the craziness that we saw in the last 2 years, but we have definitely slowed our fall into what many people felt was going to be a deep buyer's market. One of the reasons for this is our extremely quiet fourth quarter, more specifically December. And now we have seen a spike in price reductions again for all of those homes that have been sitting on the market. Now, this is normal for this time of year, but we have also seen an increase in our demand, and the number of homes that have gone under contract have actually increased since the beginning of January, while the number of listings have actually decreased. Just to give you an idea how slow our December was, I want to share with you some numbers. New construction closings were down 8% as compared to December of 2021. Resale sales outside of MLS, in other words, the for sale by owners, they fell by 65%. Resales through MLS were down 50%. iBuyer sales were down 66%. iBuyer purchases were down 79%. If you've watched any of my other videos about the iBuyers, the lack of sales is not great for them. But the fact that they've finally realized that they should probably pull back on the number of homes that they're actually buying, that is a good thing. Institutional purchases were down 88%. Again, probably a good thing for them. And now distressed sales or pre-foreclosures, those were up by 31%. But before anyone thinks, finally, foreclosures are starting to come. When I say up by 31%, that means we had a total of 293 in all of December, which is a far cry from the over 10,000 we saw at our peak of all the foreclosures. The most interesting thing about all of these numbers are the new construction numbers. The number of new construction closings actually didn't fall that much as compared to everything else. And why would that be? Well, many of these buyers have been under contract for 10 plus months, just waiting for these homes to be complete. And they finally are. But that does not mean that new construction is totally out of the woods in this market environment. I was just calling on a few new home construction communities for some of my buyers, and the first thing that they wanted to make sure that I knew is that they were no longer selling from a priority list. Well, what does that mean? It means that they no longer have a list of buyers knocking down their door, waiting in line to buy these homes. They are selling through what they have under contract, and now many of them also have what they consider quick delivery or spec homes. These are completed homes ready to go that these builders need to move. And this is where buyers can find the best deals when it comes to new construction. So where does this leave us when we're starting off in January for 2023? Well, as I mentioned, we have began January of 2023 seeing a big spike in price reductions. And this, coupled with our mortgage interest rates actually falling a little bit, has increased our demand, and therefore we have seen more homes go under contract. But what we expect to see for the second half of January, when all of our winter visitors begin to arrive, is our inventory will rise as well. So it will not be surprising to see those price reductions continue spiking as sellers have to continue reducing their list price to compete with all of these new homes that come to the market. And for those that believe that we are still heading for this massive crash, our reality is that we have already seen between 12 and 15% home price reduction since the peak in May of 2022. And for some, I know this feels like a crash, but I like to put things in perspective and remind everyone that in 2008, when our market really did crash, we saw prices reduced by 55% or more in some areas. That is a crash. Remember, why did this happen? We had bad loans, we had people that had no equity in their homes, and then we had massive job loss, none of which we have right now. We don't have bad loans, We have people that have more equity in their homes than they have ever had before, and we do not have massive job loss. Now, I am not trying to say that we have not had any job loss, but we have not seen the massive job loss that we saw in 2008. Now, the other thing that's important to mention is that we do not have near the supply that we had in 2008, where we were looking at about 58,000 homes on the market, active homes on the market during that time. Currently, we have about 16,000. That is a drastic difference. So even though we know that we are going to see our inventory rise in January and February, we also know that it is not going to get near what we saw in 2008. And here's why. See, there are many people that would normally want to buy or sell a house to move up, move down, and change their home around a little bit based on what their lifestyle is now dictating. But because so many homeowners have a locked interest rate at 3% or less, they have now said, even if I want to move up or move down, for now, I'm just going to sit tight, which in turn is going to keep our inventory tight and reduce the downward pressure that we would normally feel on pricing as our inventory started to rise and rise as quickly as it did back then. Now, as our year moves along, I will not be surprised to see pricing come down just a little bit more. But overall, I do believe we will see some stabilization as we get to the middle of the year for 2023. But the big thing to know here is that even if we reach stabilization in the middle of the year, our year-over-year price appreciation is going to remain negative. So all of the headlines that you're going to see for probably all of 2023 are going to be talking about negative price appreciation. Now, every city is reacting differently to the market, so it's very important for you to dive deep into the city that you live in or want to live in to really understand how that city is reacting to the overall Phoenix market. But as it stands now, most cities in the Phoenix area are looking very positive when it comes to supply and demand levels. Buyers, don't let this discourage you because there are still deals out there to be found. And sellers, if your home is in fantastic condition and in a great location and priced right, it will still sell quickly. We continue to see people moving to Arizona. In fact, North American Moving Services shows that Arizona was one of the top 5 states for people to move to in 2022. And the Census Bureau actually shows that Arizona had one of the top population changes from July 2021 to July 2022. And this is one of the reasons why our prices jumped so high so fast. This and the number of investors that have entered our market. Now, if you would like to learn more about how some of those investors have affected our Arizona real estate market, take a look at this video. If I can answer any questions for you, please feel free to reach out. As always, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.